welcome to Foppy's Creations. Today I'm going to be talking about some smaller projects. I'll say small, they're just slightly less work than some of the things I've made. And also, this now what I'm going to show you now isn't going to be, it's maybe small, but it's a little bit more fiddly, so could take a little bit more time, but at least until you get used to how they're made. And this is a book that Duncan picked up for me. We was out shopping and he went to our local Noz, which sounds funny to some of you, but those that live in France will know what I mean. And he spotted it and brought this over to me. So, yeah, it's just a book. Cake has got, obviously, a cupcake in her hand. And then we've got Madame Croissant. And she's holding her little croissant. Then we've got Jean-Pierre, and he's got his baguette under his arm, and he's wearing his beret and his little jumper, and he's got his little cravat. Then we've got Basil. Basil's holding a tomato. Then we've got Dandelion. So I think she's holding a pumpkin. Looking at this picture here, looks like she's made a pumpkin, or a pumpkin's been made to go with her. Then you've got Florodora. She's obviously got lots of flowers, flower on her head and a flower in her bag. Then we've got Mademoiselle de Paris. Obvious reason, she's very posh in her jacket and her handbag with pearls on it. And we've got Miss Pearl, and she's obviously does her knitting. She's got a wool here and her knitting in her hand. You see there. Then we've got Miss Bobbin, and she's obviously one of the sewing mice. She's got a thread in one hand and her embroidery in the other. Then we've got Emily, who's reading, I think it's Jane Eyre. Yep, she's reading Jane Eyre, so she's obviously meant to be Emily Bronte Mouse. Then we've got Madame Mouse and Pipsqueak, and you can see a mummy and baby mouse there. I bet that baby's going to be fiddly to make. And you can see how small she is by that band of embroidery anglaise that's they've made the dress out of. So sweet. Now we've got Sleepyhead, obviously wearing her nightie, and she's got a bear to go to bed with. Then we've got Little Angel. How sweet is that? Got little wings on her and a heart. Then we've got Rosebud, and she's obviously likes her roses and got roses in her hair. And we've got Blossom, and Blossom obviously likes her flowers. Then we've got Miss Chris Mouse, for obvious reasons. She's got a Christmas wreath in her hands. Oh, trying to turn these pages. Miss Noel, ready for Christmas. Papa Noel, he's got his Christmas stocking. And then for some reason they randomly go into some Christmas recipes, and then thankfully lots of pictures on how to construct the mice. Obviously the word in French, and I should be able to get most of it, but thankfully the pictures are there, so that will help. So, and a bits of knitting as well for the little knitted bits in there. So I was really pleased he found that. That's lovely. Next, I'm just going to talk about some other things. I made, for ages, wanted some pattern weights. Most of you sewers will know what we need those for. For putting the pattern, put a weight on the pattern to hold it still on the fabric. And when Duncan and I got married, in 2018, we had the balloons on the table, and obviously we had the weights on the bottom of them. And I did try to sell them as a lot, in case someone had a party coming up, but they didn't sell. So, but then I had a sudden brainwave. I think we had, I don't know, about 30 of them. And because they're obviously a weight, they're quite a weight, because obviously they were holding the balloons on the table. So what I did, that's the weight. And then what I did, I made a circle of fabric. See there? I put it in the middle. And then I just bunched it up and put an elastic band around the top. And so I've got a big bucket of those now. And they come in really handy for all different things when if I'm trying to cut out a small thing off a big bit of fabric on the table, it just stops it from sliding off the table and things. So I'm really pleased with them. Like I say, I've got probably about 30 of them. So they're really good, and I just chose all different sort of fabrics and that for them. And having this on the top makes them easy to move around. And now today, what I'm going to make with you, or at least show you how I make as usual. I don't know if any of you ever use them. I've really got an itchy nose today. It's dusty in the loft. Are these beanbag things that you can heat up in the microwave, and you can put them round your neck or on your back, and it's just really soothing. Mine have all used to have, just about smell it, some lavender seed in them, but generally, or they're not lavender seed always in these, but they put lavender oil on them, but inside is usually some sort of rice or something. So I saw a pattern for one of these and decided that was perfect for me, because I'd get shoulder ache or backache and everything. And you make one of these, let me just move you down just a little bit. You make one of these with ties on the end, and you leave an opening to put your beanbag inside, and it can go in the microwave in the cover. So I tend to leave mine inside. Let's just put one back in. Bear with me. That's it. Okay, so that's inside now, and as you can see, as usual, I've made this from scraps, and the one I'm going to do today is partially made from, well no, I suppose it's all made from scraps really. And I'm going to just turn this up and just show you how I mean when I say about wearing it. Bear with. Right, okay, so you can't really tell properly, can you? No, I'll have to do it from here. So you can put that around your neck, get it in a nice comfortable position, and then you can tie it, and then you can just go about whatever you're doing and still have that comfort, and it's not going to fall off. And also the same, so when you make your straps, make sure that they're going to fit around, you see around here, if you want it on your back, just make sure you've got enough to tie. I mean, we're all different sizes, so the straps need to be the right size really. But that I was walking around with on my back yesterday, and it's lovely to be able to just walk around. I haven't just got to sit still and have the beanbag again between me and the back of the sofa. I can walk around with it, and it's great. So that's one thing we're going to make today. And also, I think I can't remember if I put the list on or not now, but do any of you buy these packets of tissues? It's not the most attractive packet, is it? But I picked this up at a craft fair once, and it's a little container, so simple, just a little container that looks a bit more attractive in your handbag or in your pocket if you decide to carry them in your pocket. And you can probably get maybe two packets in there, or if you're running low and you've only got, like I've got that in there, and I can probably get another spare packet in behind it. But it's just basically a square of fabric, a little bit of bias binding on the edge, and obviously you sew it inside out first. This one has actually got like a waterproof lining to it. When I've been making them, I haven't bothered to do that because I didn't really see the need, but I've got my measurements and everything, and I'm going to quickly show you how to do that today. As well as that, what I've done already, I have, as I said, got scraps. This is a piece of scrap fabric. What I tend to do, I might have said before, if I've got lots of square fabrics and I get so much enjoyment out of it, I just sit here and just sew lots of pieces together, get a huge chunk of fabric, and then I can cut whatever I want out of it. This, I actually made a couple of peg bags, one for me and one for our friends, and this is sort of what's now, we're coming down to the last few bits of it. Not quite enough for both sides, so I've got one piece there, and the other piece I'm making from a piece of sheeting. And then my straps are actually pieces from the odd bits that are left. So I'm having to piece bits together to make the straps. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to serge all around the edges just to make sure that they don't fray on me. And then I'll come back to you. Same with, once I've got decided on my fabric for my tissue cover, or tissue holder should I say, I'll come back to you again, then we'll take you to the next stage. Talking about putting scraps together, I made a herringbone quilt ages ago, and I'd cut out far too many pieces, and so I've got lots of strips of fabric that I made that with. So my plan is now to make a whole sheet of herringbone with what I've got left, and I should get a fair size from all of those, and then that'll be another piece of fabric that I'll have to make something with. I'm not sure. Not sure what I'll do with it yet. I could do sort of bowl warmers, what they call them, bowl cozies or something, if I line them with a blanket or something, or I could make just covers for my trays that I can shove in the washing machine. So yeah, that's the plan. I only said that because I just found that on top of my scraps box, and it just reminded me. But I'm now still going to carry on and find my fabric. Okay, I've serged around all the edges now, makes it a much tidier piece of fabric and also less chance of it fraying. I've pieced together my smaller pieces to make my straps for both ends, and this is the other side. You see this one is actually the edge of a sheet, so because it's already hemmed I haven't bothered to serge that because it's already tidy. So that's that to go with that. And I've found this little piece of fabric in my scraps to make my tissue holder with. And if you remember in my show round of the craft area, I said I got those huge reels, if you can see behind me, of orange bias binding. This is your brilliant opportunity to use some of that, so I'm going to use that on the edges of my tissue holder. So I'll get my machine ready and then we'll get sewing. Obviously before I sew I need to put my pieces of fabric. I think I'll use my clips today. Clip them right sides together and find my marker pen. And I'm going to mark a 21 centimetre opening. So let's get the halfway mark, which will be about 30 and a half, which is there. And then I'm going to put 21, so half of 21 is 11 and a half. So from there to there, I've got to remember not to sew between those two marks. Once it's done and I've got the seams, I can fold them back and then stitch that piece down. But for now we clip. Obviously I won't put clips across the opening because I was a bit tempted to sew straight across, which is what I kept doing yesterday. I'm going to have to keep unpicking it. I need to leave a small opening there at the end as well. Well, actually, you know what I should do, thinking about it. It's funny how you forget these things. I need to sew my straps first, and once the straps are sewn, put them inside on each end. I'll show you when I come to that. Just decided I'm going to press my straps, fold them both one side in and the other side in, and then press them so that I can get them to stay in place easier when I'm stitching. There we go. Right, fold both edges into the centre. You could use a bias binding maker if you had a big enough one, but this obviously does the job. I have got bias binding makers as well, but I've never used them for this. So then I'll just top stitch the straps. So now they're ready to be top stitch the straps, and then we'll add them before we do the main part of the project. So tuck this in both sides again. It's funny, you know, when I'm filming this and then I pause it or I stop it, and I feel like I should rush because I don't want to keep you waiting, forgetting that you don't even know that I'm, you know, what I'm doing off camera. But I just feel like I don't want to keep you waiting. Right, that's then pressed. Little thread there to cut off. Right, I can pause you again just while I get my machine ready. So right, the straps are now top stitched, both done. So what I'm going to do now is bring them both on to the right side of the fabric, find the centre of the end there, or roughly the centre, and place them right sides together. Then put the other piece, the other is on top, and then I think I'll pin that in place. And clip. I don't want that to come out of place, so that's to stay in there. Okay, so that's, in fact I think I'm going to pull that through just a little bit more, just to make sure it doesn't get missed on the stitching. So, and the same the other end with the other one. Keep that inside. Just over, I don't know if you can see, just over the edge of the fabric there. About halfway. Cover it with the other piece. Stitch that in, oh sorry, pin that in place. Pin it, clip there, clip there. So tuck all the strap inside there. Clips back on that side and on that side. Now I'm going to stitch now from my mark here all the way round all four sides, apart from the gap I need to leave. So we'll start tucking out of the way. Okay, now I'm going to use the width of the foot as my guide, but to help stop me slipping, I've lost my magnet. So much for me having things to hand. What have I done with that? It was on here. Maybe it's, there it is, underneath. Okay, right, that there, just to make sure I don't slip. All right. Needle in at the corner, turn, I think my strap's not very straight inside, let's move that a little bit, so down, as I do with my bags. I'm going to go over the end of the strap a few times just to make sure it's secure. So it's going to be holding a little bit of weight. And back again, that's it. Obviously when you're stitching, make sure that the handle you've put inside isn't getting caught under the foot, because that'll end up being unpicked and starting again. Just cut that and see it. wise to keep a check and make sure it's not moving and you find that you've not got both sides being sewn together. It won't be the first time, and it probably won't be the last if I ever do it. There we go. I'm using, it's about 1/4 of an inch when you use the edge of the machine as your guide. Just going to go one more stitch, that's better. Why isn't that moving? What's in the way? I think it's just a seam on the patchwork. Right, use my poddy thing to push that through. We have a problem here because we've got a thickness of seams. There we go. Just caught under the needle. We come to the mark again where I've got to leave it open. Back again. That's it. Right, turn it around the other way. You see now the corner's not quite caught there, so I've got to go back and stitch that. I'm not very good on my measurements. There we go. That's your holder and your straps. Now I'm going to press this open and press a crease here that I can stitch the opening. Okay, I've pressed it. Now I'm just going to put some row of stitches on the opening. There we go, ready for the beanbag. It's quite a nice gift as well if you can make one of these and buy a beanbag, or if you buy your beanbag first, measure your beanbag and then you make one according to the size of the beanbag, because they're not all the same size. I made one the first time and it didn't fit all my beanbags, so I had to do another one. There you go. Okay, now on to the tissue holder. It's quite a nice bit of cheerful fabric, and that's all we need, other than the sewing machine, of course. So let's start get going. So I need to fold both sides in just to make sure we've got the right size. I've measured, obviously. Just double checking. That's obviously what it will look like. In fact, yep, it's the same size, just double checking I've done that right. Now what I need to do is sew the binding on each end, on each side. That's going to require patience. Like that. So I'm going to carry on and do the other side. And when I'm ready to sew, I'll bring you back. Right, I've decided I was going to do blue stitching to go with the main part being blue, but I've decided I'm going to use the orange. So I need to change all of the thread on my machine. Should be enough on the bobbin that I've got there. With my machine, the bobbin has to turn anti-clockwise. So there. Down there. Up. And the hook. I'll probably eat my words and it'll probably run out before I've finished. But let's give it a go. I wish I'd put the pins on the other side now because I want to stitch from the top. Right. So just manage to hold it still in place. It's always fiddly doing very narrow pieces of fabric. Right. So. Stitch a couple of bits back. That's it. Right, and carefully sew. And make sure you keep into the edge of the bias. I've already slipped. So next pin out. You really don't have to worry too much when it's for yourself about it being perfect unless you're a real perfectionist. I mean, it does irritate me sometimes, but when you think of things like a beanbag holder or a tissue holder, stitching is obviously a lot less important, so never beat yourself up about it. It's just good practice on things like this to get it right. That's one side done. I'll do the other one. So it's just a nice, quick, easy project, and I think I've already said, nice for easy presents. If you can't afford to do a lot for someone, you buy a pack of those tissues really cheaply, but give them one of these with it, and I'm sure they'd be really grateful. Oh, where's my pokey thing? Oh, yes, it's getting caught again because it's a small thing. There we go. See what I mean about it being fiddly? Now, hold it down. Okay. Now we're going to bring the two edges together. Like that, with the right sides facing. So I can use pin because they're to hand. Make sure the two edges are together. There we go. My stitching's not perfect on this, but for demonstration purposes. Right. Now I'm going to do a 3/8 seam on this, which I think is about a quarter of it, which is a centimetre, or I'm not sure now, I can't remember, but 3/8. So make sure you're holding the two bindings together. I was thinking I might try and make a few of these and sell them. I couldn't sell them for very much because, even though they take a little bit of time, they're not enough time to make a lot of money out of, but they're sort of things that people might like to buy people as a little stocking filler. You see, I'm using the same thread because for this it really doesn't matter. You're not going to see it. Hold them together. This is a really good tool. It just helps when you've got thick fabrics and things that are getting caught under the foot to just gently push along and persuade. Dodgy when the magnet's there, as you can see, because it keeps pulling it. But it's a good tool to have. I think you'd call it a bradawl, but I'm not totally sure. So, okay, snip those. Now, to make sure these ends come out nice and square, we're just and not so bulky, I'm just going to cut the corners off. Use these scissors, just like that. Just be careful not to snap your stitches on the corner. That's it. Just neaten up any edges you've got. That's it. There you go. Let's pull that back out. Oops. There you have it. Could do with a press, but there's your tissue holder, like this one. Tuck it inside. There you go. So you don't even have to take the tissue box out, you just open the front, undo your flap, and then you can pull it out from there. So I think that's quite a nice little gift. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that. Now I'm going to go off and think of some other things I can show you to make, but if you've got any questions about any of that, let me bring you up to see me. If you've got any questions about anything we've done or anything I've made today, then obviously put in the comments as usual, and let me know what you think you'd like to see me make, or maybe which mouse you'd like to see me make. I think that could be a little bit of a challenge. As I say, it might be fiddly, but it might also be quite enjoyable. They are sweet. So I'll see you next time. Bye.